people that are scared to get on the phone, right? What tip, because I just today I had a guy, he's like, are you going to show us like what we say when we get on the phone and what do we do? So for you, what do you do? Like you said, you moved your position titles from, you started out as acquisition and they saw the gold in you, right? And then they moved you to running the business. How did you train, teach, coach acquisition people to get on the phone? I think one of the biggest things we see, people are new, they're scared to get on the phone. How do you get them over that hump?
I mean, you can't be afraid to fail. The only way you're going to learn in acquisitions is by failing. You're going to get your teeth knocked out. You're going to get dragged. It's like most people, it's going to take realistically about 6 to 7 months to really get to the point where you're a killer closer and you're consistent. It takes a lot of time. And that's what people don't understand. And I think the reason being is because everybody portrays this to be like a quick money, get rich quick. It's super easy. Anybody can do it. Just because the barrier of entry is basically doesn't exist, it's super low, doesn't mean that it's easy. And we
Yeah.
can't be honest, it's not easy. It's not easy getting somebody to sell the biggest asset that they're ever going to own over the phone without ever meeting you. I just
Yeah.
some people don't think about that. Like put yourself in a seller's shoes. What would you want to hear if somebody was trying to buy your house? So I think a lot of people are afraid to get on the phone because one, they're afraid to be told no. That's something that you have to get over. You have to get over that, especially in sales. I mean, every no is closer to a yes. So you want to facilitate a no. So it's
Yeah.
really a mentality switch. Once you can switch that and just get away from, all right, every lead that I talk to, it has to be a deal or my life is ruined. If I don't sign this motivated seller, my whole week is
Yeah.
going to be screwed. Like once you can get away from that mentality and just really not care about if you lose the deal or not and just focus on being direct and honest with these sellers, that's when things start to change. But it takes time and it
No,
takes
it
some
does. And
uh
I 100% agree with you. I tell everybody in life, for most people, the largest thing that they're going to buy and sell is going to be their house. And
yeah.
so if you go into the process just thinking how I'm going to make 10 grand off of this or how I'm going to get them to sign a piece of paper today, it doesn't work that way. I always say if you want to make a sell every time, sell gas, right? That's pretty much the only people that are doing it every time. And that's what I think people who are new getting into it, they don't understand that you have to have a follow-up sequence, a nurture sequence, and all these things, right? And like I think one of the best ways for people to understand is like if you ever went to go buy a new car or vehicle, once you fill out something online for that vehicle or once you walk into that dealership, they get all your information. They're calling you, the guy's calling you all the time, he's texting you all the time, and they're doing that for at least the first week or two to try and see if you're interested in buying that vehicle because they want you to remember it. And then people come back, some people don't. It's the
hmm
same thing with houses, but you've got to be even on top of it even more because they're not going to need the car in 2 weeks. Their house, it might take them 3 months, right? It may take the car prior 2 weeks. It might take the house person 3 months, but it's your goal to follow up with them. And so I'm glad that you said that because I think a lot of people, like you said, it looks sexy, they want to make some money, and they,
Yeah.
how it goes.
And
So,
just my bad, I don't mean to interrupt,
no,
but
no,
just
no,
to
you're good, brother.
just to piggyback off that, right? You mentioned like having the mentality like, oh, I hope I can make 10K off the steal, things like that. That gets in the way of having a real genuine conversation with value. If you could just go into every call with the mindset of, all right, how can I help this person? These people, again, putting yourself in a seller's shoes, they're probably only going to do one off-market transaction in their entire lives. And I tell the sellers this verbatim. Listen, you're
Yeah.
probably only going to do one. Most people we work with will only do one off-market transaction in their entire lives. So my job is to answer any questions that you may have and make sure that you feel comfortable enough to make the best decision for yourself. So feel free to ask anything. Like you go into calls like that, you're probably going to have a better time with people opening up and having better conversations instead of just thinking about me. How can I make this quick 10K, this quick 5K? What do I got to do to make money? That's where people mess up, and that's where it takes people a long time to really get
Very
deals.
true. Very true. I always liken it to like when you meet a female, right? If you go into it thinking, all right, when are me and her gonna, link up and bring her back to the crib? Like she can sense that. She can feel that. and that will probably wrap that whole thing up pretty quick, right? But if
Yeah.
you usually, funny enough, it's the guy who's like, I don't really care what we end up doing. Like, I'm just here to help you out, have a good time. It's like, you gotta beat them off with a stick. But I liken it, I liken it to that.
I like
So
that.
when you're and again, for people that are in our community or just maybe watching this for the first time and they're thinking, we're focused on acquisitions here. So are you training people to follow a certain script? Are you teaching them to just kind of I think some people think if I have a script, I got to follow it to the T. Every time
hmm
it's got to be this way. When you're training a new person to be acquisitions, are you training them to stick to the script just this way, a loose framework of a script? How are you training them to get on the phone and to get from the conversation from A to Z?
That's a great question. I mean, for me personally, I think it's important to start with the script, especially for somebody who's honestly anybody, even if you're coming in new, even if you're coming in with knowledge, like everybody has a different sales process, and it is important that you have a sales process to be able to close consistently. I truly believe that. So how I typically do it is when you come in, you're going to stick to the script until you can get through the script and make offers and have a good conversation. And then once you're able to do that and you know the script like the back of your hand, you understand the structure and you understand the sales process and getting a seller from point A to point Z. Once you can do that consistently, then at that point, yeah, start putting your personality in there.